Hey everybody, today's guest is Gene Todaro. He's a guy that grew up in the restaurant world, following in his family's footsteps. Marcello's Italian in Lafayette, and he had his own spots in Baton Rouge. Marcello's in South Downs was one of my favorites. I think I went with my friend Michael Hackett there for one of the crazy birthdays one time. And then on to the New Orleans really vibrant food scene, which is, probably a lot of crazy late nights and the whole business. But then there was, a sharp turn in your story, and you transformed your lifestyle and your health habits. And, I don't know if it was one step at a time or it came overnight, but, this is really a story of your reinvention, and your resilience in finding a balance after, I don't know if you call it burnout or, party out or whatever, but it's just been a real change in Gene. And so, let's talk about that story. So we said that you, of course, your family had a business in Lafayette. And so, without going over all of that, why do you go into something as crazy as the food and beverage business?
Well, we started with, my dad wanted to have a restaurant, had to have a restaurant. He came here from Sicily. He enjoyed entertaining people. And so it was really a matter of, I just grew up, we always had a restaurant around and I always worked there. I didn't really think that I was going to be in the business. I thought I just worked there.
Was it expected, kind of an Italian family thing?
I wanted a job. I wanted to earn some cash, and I liked communicating with the customers and hanging around the employees. So it was really personal entertainment to some extent. And one day I woke up and realized, okay, now I've been doing this for a lot of years. And then I realized, oh, wait, this is what I do for a living. Like I didn't plan to go do it for a living. It just happened. And I woke up and we had a liquor store in the French Quarter, restaurants in Lafayette and Baton Rouge.
This was back then?
Yeah. And I was running around meeting all sorts of interesting people. I found that food and beverage, it was easy access to a lot of people that I wouldn't have access to.
Oh, that's interesting.
Not that I was trying to get in anywhere particular with any group. It's just that I enjoyed that I could be at one table with one person from the other part of the world with a story, their story, and another table with totally different people with a totally different background and people who have experienced just the craziest of everything, from celebrity lifestyles to politicians. I remember when I was 17, the Republican National Convention was in the French Quarter or New Orleans. I don't know if you remember that. And that was the year that H.W. was nominated for president, and and our liquor store was right next to K. Paul's restaurant. And not that I was a Republican or cared about politics, but I got to watch all these, like Barry Goldwater and all these people that don't exist anymore, all these great politicians lining up to eat at K. Paul's and, serving them bringing them drinks out on the sidewalk. And it's just, for me, it always made the world really easy to access.
And connections are big in Louisiana.
And I think anywhere really, I guess.
Oh, gosh,
but
yeah.
I guess a lot of people, until you go somewhere else, you don't realize how much here it matters, or here, who you know is more than what you know.
I always have been told if I want to go to the wine country, talk to Gene. He's got the hookup. So I think you've established connections throughout your life via, your business and, and your personality, of course.
Yeah. And I think because I am more open, and, some of the people I run around with we get in more places. We're just more available. I like to be available to people, emotionally available, intellectually available. I don't have an ego to bruise, or, I don't mind if I'm sitting at a table with a billionaire or with somebody that doesn't have anything. It's all the same to me. And so I guess just years of that turned into a career. And I love the people part of it. The running the business part of it.
Yeah, you were always an out front person. I know I'd go to Marcello's, and it was always fun to talk to you.
But and to the grind part of the restaurant business, to be the out front person means you need to be there at 7 a.m. before those people are out front, and making sure all the deliveries are coming in, and making sure you have everything you need, and making sure your staff is going to show up. And so there's all that backside of it that anybody in the restaurant business. So like I say, I never talk bad about a restaurant. I don't care whether the food's good or bad, because I don't care what restaurant it is. It's hard to operate. from Burger King to Ruth's Chris to whatever. If they're in that business, I have all the respect in the world for them, because I know that they're working really hard, regardless of what you experience as a customer.
Yeah, and I know I've asked you this question before, and you laugh at me so cliche. I asked you if you'd seen The Bear, because that really epitomizes the grind.
Yeah, I have not. I cannot. I can't watch any shows related to restaurants. It's like PTSD for me. It just it brings back too many memories. Too much of the struggle is too real. The struggle is too real for me.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So I can't do it. I love Jeremy Allen White also from Shameless. I can watch that, but I can't watch The Bear. I'm glad he's doing great, and I'm glad everybody loves the show. And I think I've been told by other people that it's very realistic.
Yeah. And you believe that it is?
And I believe it probably is, but I can't do it.
I can see that. Well, then, moving to New Orleans, I was fascinated when you bought, you actually bought a building, in a really good location in the warehouse district, I guess almost the French Quarter.
Yeah, and I guess it's
that's expensive stuff,
it's
too.
CBD warehouse district. And, the idea was that, well, I made it in Baton Rouge, but what is that, to really make it in the restaurant scene, I've got to go make it in New Orleans. It was really an ego trip on my part to have to go do that. And I was like, oh, I've got to go do this. I've got to go, where the real restaurants are. And that's a whole other story. But so I went down there and I found a good deal on a building. And that's the only reason I got in. It was a good deal. And we bought it.
And you had an apartment above it, I believe?
Had apartments above it, and we still have the building. And we leased it out to another restaurant. But, I did that. It worked. We got traction really quickly. Everybody loved it. And then I found it all consuming. I found myself 7 days a week, 12 hours a day.
Things don't shut down when the restaurant shuts down.
In New Orleans, nothing shuts down ever. And you're always invited to an after party. There is always an after party.
It always sounds fun.
There's always a better wine tasting. It's accepted in the culture. And as soon as you think, I think I need to slow down, Mardi Gras hits, and I think I need to slow down. Oh, French Quarter Fest. Oh, now it's Jazz Fest. So the running joke is I'm gonna slow down right after Jazz Fest, and I would say that every year. So like starting in October with conventions and just going all the way through. And I was getting heavier and out of shape and feeling bad all the time and being hungover all the time and trying to cope with it and trying to keep up. Mm-hmm. So it was
fun in the beginning, I guess.
It was fun for years, but it was also, it was a grind. It's taxing, because then you go in and trying to operate a business every day with a hangover, or just feeling rough, and you go, today's the day I'm gonna not partake, and then some great world famous winemaker walks in your front door because of that location. They walk in with a bag of great wine that you're never going to see again and never going to get to taste again, and so you're like, oh, well, I have to try that. God, I'll never see this person again. And everyone in the New Orleans scene can relate to that.
And New Orleans is probably all you hoped it would be, and more, and more is where the story takes a turn. It
got to be more and more, and I realized I'm not seeing my kids grow up. I'm spending not enough time with my wife, and that's a challenge that everyone in every business has. It's just not just in the restaurants. I get that. Plenty of attorneys and doctors and all sorts of professions have issues balancing work life, especially in our culture in this country. We're a workaholic nation, and that's what we are.
Yeah, I'll love
you work all the time, and so for me, I was like, I'm gonna, miss my kid's complete high school experience.
Was that something you told yourself daily, or?
Oh, it was a day. It was a daily It was a daily struggle. Daily struggle within. What do I do? Do I go run the restaurant? These customers are texting me, wanting me to come sit and have dinner with them, like every day. Come have a drink with me. Like, you get people getting off work, and it's exciting, especially, again, being in downtown New Orleans. There's no telling who's going to come.
People, yeah.
No telling who's going to come in and who's going to want to have a drink with you, and what story they're going to tell you that's going to be like, wow, I'm privy to all this information and all this.
It's intoxicating is probably a
and
broad
you
word.
Easy to get caught up in. and hard to put it down. Hard to say, yeah, as boring as it might sound, I need to go home and be with my kid or go to the soccer game or go do what you do. As that became a challenge, a regular challenge. And so at some point I found an opportunity to sell part of the business to my chef. And I saw that as a way to create some separation. Mm-hmm. It was like a giveaway deal. It makes it sound like I made money. I didn't really make any money. What I did was like create an escape hatch, because I was like 90 pounds overweight, feeling bad all the time. I was like, I've got to get away from this.
And what was your jump through the escape hatch? Was there one day, one moment? We talked a little bit before about a trip, because the scrubs are obviously the rest of the story that will evolve to.
That came after.
Okay.
I started trying to create a separation by selling part of the business, and then I started spending a little more time at home, but still trying to find myself in the process. And so we moved back to Baton Rouge, and what do? The first thing I do is try to open another restaurant here. And I wake up, like, immediately realize I put myself in the same trap again. Yeah. Because everyone knows me as the restaurant and wine guy, and it's so easy to go, well, this is so easy. It's right here. I can afford the rent. It's so easy. I can snap my fingers and it'll be open in like no time. And that's exactly what happened. And then I was immediately in regret mode. Immediately going, here I am, back sitting at the bar, back not fulfilling, what I need to fulfill. So once again, I sold. Wow. And I was like, okay, this time I really need to focus. And I did focus, more on family issues. And it's not like our family was going to bust up or anything. It was just that I saw my son growing up without, I have two boys, but I saw him growing up like without my being around enough in my view. So as much as maybe somebody with an 8 to 5 job could be. And so doing that also opened up some free time. And so I guess it was 2019, a friend called and invited me on a river trip, camping river trip, which I didn't know what that meant. I don't know what a river trip means. What does a river trip mean? What do you mean? Well, a bunch of us get in rafts and we go down a river and you camp on the banks. And I was like, okay, what river? Where? San Juan River in Utah. I'm like, and we're leaving 2 weeks and we have one spot and you have to say yes right now or you can't go. And I was like, let me at least check with my wife. She said, fine, go. So I was like, all right, I'm in. Give me a list of stuff I need. And I bought some stuff. It was very easy to do this trip because they had planned everything, which was really nice. It was the first time I'd gone somewhere where I wasn't the control freak, where it wasn't in a city, where there weren't hotels and there weren't restaurants and all the things that I was used to doing. This was like, you just show up with a little bag of stuff. Was that
comfortable for you or a little
bit? It was exciting. It was very uncomfortable and exciting at the same time. I was like, I don't know what I've gotten myself into. I'm just going to have to trust these people. And that group of people includes CeCe Lockwood, who a lot of people know, the nature photographer.
Very trustworthy in outdoors.
Correct. But I knew that, but I didn't really know what that meant. I saw his books, but I didn't know what it took for him to get those pictures. I didn't realize you had to climb up a cliff and spend the night on the edge of a mountain and all the things that he did over the years that are so amazing that is really hard to understand just from looking at a book. And the Rowland family, who he's been very close to for a long time, who are all avid outdoorsmen, very competent in nature and with anything outdoorsy, and including rafting, which they've gone down the Colorado River several times, which is a major challenge to do by yourself.
I've seen pictures.
CeCe's gone down the Colorado River something like 36 times.
CeCe's amazing.
I mean, that's like great. No one in the world's gone, no one gets to go that many times. So at any rate, but I still didn't know what any of that was or meant. I hadn't done my research. I just went. And the first 2 days I was in panic mode because there's no cell service. There's no stores. There's no other people. We're in the middle of the desert. Like if you fly west and you get over, Utah and you look out your plane window and you see that desert that goes forever and ever in every direction, you think, I would die immediately if I was there. That's where we were. Like nobody's there. Like literally nobody's there. Nobody's here. There's nobody here. There's no way to say, like, what do you do? If you go wandering off into a canyon, I look up and I see a vulture following me, just waiting for me to make that mistake. So I realized, wait, I'm detached completely. I can't solve anything. I can't fix anything. I can't answer my phone. There's nothing I can do. And then all of a sudden it became the greatest release of my life. And I realized, wait, I have to let go.
I can feel that.
I have to completely let go.
Personality like yours.
Because I can't fix a thing. Mm-hmm. And that, once I got that feeling, then I was like, okay, now I'm in trouble. Because now this is how I want to feel all the time. I want to be in this place. I want to be in this place where you can't solve anything. You have to worry about right now, me, right? So it's a great way to be, in the moment. People talk about being in the moment. Like you have to live in the moment when water and food and even where you use the bathroom is an ordeal. And, not getting stuck on a rock in a rapid, which we did. And then I watched these amazing people pull us off the rock, and like I had no clue how we would ever get off this rock if these people weren't there.
To some extent, giving up control to nature, and for people that have trouble giving up control, probably like you and I, that's a scary release.
Yeah, it was mind blowing and eye opening, and I was immediately addicted. And I came home, and all I wanted to talk about was rivers, and so I immediately booked. I blabbed to all my friends about how great it was, and I got 14 couples to all agree to put in to buy rent 2 rafts to go down the Colorado River. And it was like, that's how I became like I was on a mission. I was like an evangelist for running rivers.
Well, how does that translate down here? Because I know you gave up a lot of things once you started realizing things are changing for me.
What I realized on the river is how out of shape I was. Mm-hmm. So I'd already started this thing where I'm trying to get in shape. I'm exercising a little. I'm drinking less. I'm trying to eat right, but I'm really not there, for sure, not there. And I went, I need to take this serious because I'm out here in the wilderness with a bunch of guys. Some of these people are 15, 20 years older than me, and they're beating me at everything. They're stronger than me. They're faster than me. They're more limber than I am. This is pitiful. I have got to make some changes. And I mean, I've never been super athletic, so I don't expect to be an alpine climber or anything, or, world champion athlete of any sort. But at least I want to be competent out here so that I can do this over and over again. And so I started cleaning my act up kind of slowly. And then COVID happens. We have to postpone the Colorado trip because of COVID. They gave us, they said, we give you your money back or we'll just postpone it a year. And I said, just postpone it a year. I want to make this happen. I don't want the money back. And then because it was COVID, well, lo and behold, my river rat friends that I went down the San Juan with, they all started getting permits for other rivers. And they were like, well, let's just go run rivers all during COVID. So I went and ran 3 or 4 other rivers during COVID. We just drive out west.
Well, that sounds like a blast.
Because we weren't too concerned with COVID, but it was socially distant. I mean, we all know each other. You don't see anyone out there. Nature, we're out in nature. So we literally tackled like 3 or 4 rivers during that time frame. And I also started walking when I was here because the restaurants couldn't be open that I was involved with, and the family business in Lafayette had to be closed because that still existed through this whole time. I was like, I'm going to have to go walk or I'm going to go crazy, literally. And so I started walking. I walked off and on my whole life, but I really started walking heavily, like 8, 10, 12 miles a day, every single day, to try to keep my sanity.
That's a lot of walking. That's a lot of hours on the road.
Hours and hours around the lakes, listening to books.
Yeah, I know that you listen to Thoreau and Whitman and those, and
and Emerson.
what's your favorite? You've sent me a couple of things over the time, and I just love them all.
I mean, I love, probably if I had to just pick, there's so many great writers, but I mean, if I just had to have one go-to, it'd be Thoreau.
Because he was out in nature on Walden's Pond.
He was out in nature, and he was genius, but he was more rustic also. His writing is more accessible, sort of like Hemingway also is economy of words. Whereas I love Emerson, who wrote a lot about nature, but his writing is much prettier, but much more complicated. Like I have to look his words up. I have to go to the dictionary for a lot of his words,
So interesting that the Italian, restaurateur is now listening to Thoreau on his iPod and walking 18 miles around the lakes. Just what a difference.
And over again. And personally feeling like, wow, the human condition hasn't changed at all. These are the things I feel like I learned. Even listening to Socrates, which kind of goes back a ways, right?
Yeah.
Plato, I was like, wait, the human condition this is the same human condition. All the things we're watching in the news that drive us crazy, regardless of your politics or how you feel about anything, all of these guys were having these same debates and arguments about these very same issues way back then, which also was grounding for me. It was like, wait, this is not the end of whatever's going on is not the end of the world. Because this is the same argument we keep having over and over again. And I also, though, discovered that I needed to be completely sober during COVID because I felt like it was a sobering moment for me, just like what's going on in the world. I want to be sober to face all of this. I don't know if we're going to go bankrupt with no income because our businesses are shuttered. I don't know what's going to happen. And if all of it crashes down, I want to be sober. I at least want my kids and wife to look at me and be able to, they won't be able to say, you were drunk and we lost everything or whatever. Literally, that was like that moment was right.
And you were Gene the wine guy.
I want to be, and all my friends are like, let's go drinking, let's go this. And I was like, I want to be totally sober until this passes at least. Because I want to be able to say I was totally sober. If everything goes down, at least I was.
And other people would think the exact opposite. I'm just gonna.
Well, because how bad could that get? We've all known that, right? Yes. We've all seen that, and so I was like, I don't know how bad I could get if I don't just totally go sober. And so, got totally sober, and now I've just been pursuing this. I was pursuing this physical outdoors like adventure lifestyle that I really wanted to accomplish, but I didn't know where I would fit in, how I could fit into it. Because my younger son, by the way, went to an outdoor school and has become an outdoors guide, inspired by all of these trips.
Oh, that's something.
And he is a professional sea kayak guide north of Seattle in the San Juan Islands. And COVID hit right when he was going to start college, and he's like, I don't really want to go to class. I don't want to start college with COVID. I don't want to, sit at home and Zoom classes, and I don't really know what I want to do. And I was like, well, you have to do something. So why don't you try one of these outdoor schools? And the school called the National Outdoor Leadership School, which is based in Lander, Wyoming, has these semester-long programs. And it happens that some of the people on our river trips had taken those courses, which answered for me how they knew exactly what to do in every situation we got in. Like, how did you know how to get us off that rock when we were trapped? How did you know where the water was? Did you know anything about anything? Because we're literally in the middle of nowhere, and a lot of it was learned at that school. So my kid goes.
Well, that's a real interesting tradition that you're passing down. It's not the restaurant biz; it's the whole different side. The new Gene passing on something maybe more valuable in the long run to his son.
To me it is, because he was one of those gamers, spending 70 hours a week gaming, and right about the time he started to slow down on that, COVID hit, and then the only way him and his friends could communicate was with that headset and to continue gaming. So it was like, oh wow, so he's now like, world-class kayaker. He's out there in the ocean. He called me before I got here. And at any rate, I was like, now I'm jealous of my son. So I was like, I want to be I want to be an outdoor guide. I'm a little old. What can I do? So
is that how it evolved into what you're doing? Okay,
so
this
I went
is fascinating. Tell me about that.
So I started looking at the school he went to because I knew that there were programs for adults and all ages, different programs. And I ran across this wilderness emergency medicine school that they have that's part of that same school.
Why emergency medicine? That just looked interesting to you when you looked at options?
Well, when I looked at options, I was like, well, like, again, I'm not going to be a world-class rock climber at this point or alpinist. I mean, I might get competent at some outdoor skill, but I'm not going to be like good enough. I'm still going to be dragging. I'm still only going to be so good, and I'm still going to try those things, but I'm not going to help somebody else for sure with it, right? However, with wilderness EMT or with an EMT, like the same EMT that an ambulance driver gets, I'm going to be able to help somebody if they get hurt. If we're out on one of these adventures and somebody gets hurt, I'll have some skill set, whatever it is. Is it a heart attack? Are they choking? Do they break something? Do they have a compound fracture? Do we need to splint it? Do we need to make up some sort of stretcher to carry them out of here? I was like, this sounds great. I'll sign up for this.
How long was
It was
course?
A month-long course last October. And I studied and exercised, and I was like, oh, I'm just going to kill this. This is going to be great. I'm going to go out there. We're living in these great cabins in this beautiful place, and it's going to be a walk in the park because I've already read the book twice, and I've listened to the book while I walked around the lakes.
And I have a passion for it.
And I get out there, and I'm twice as old as everybody except for one guy, and I had to work extremely hard all day, every day, just to keep up. The majority of the people that are in that course are either wildland firefighters or ski patroller, professional ski patroller.
Oh, God. That's
so wonderful group of people. There were 30 of us in our class. Great, all great people. 20. There were a couple of 18-year-olds, a lot of 25-year-olds, a few early 30s. One girl was on the U.S. Olympic ski team for Nordic skiing. That's the quality of people. These wildland firefighters are the toughest human beings you will ever meet. They've fought all those big fires in California.
Can you imagine?
And I'm sitting there going like, oh, wow, I think I might have punched above my weight quite a bit on this one. So I had to work really hard to get through it. And then, but I got through it, got certified. And in the course of doing this, even though I was focused on the outdoors, 2 of the days we had to spend working in hospitals as teams of 2. So these hospitals were on Indian reservations in rural areas of Wyoming. And I go not knowing what to expect, and I fell in love with working in the ER. I don't know why. I was like, wow, I really like this. This is pretty cool. Like, it's super intense, but it's, these people are coming in with these issues that have to be solved right then and there. And in Wyoming, I also learned that it's so rural that there's no level 1 trauma center like Our Lady of the Lake is right here, for instance. Mm-hmm. So if somebody has a real accident, they have to be flown to Salt Lake City. So I also gained an appreciation for what we have here while I was in that course. Or there's no labor and delivery for 150 miles. So a woman's pregnant, she's about to give birth, and they have to load her in an ambulance and drive her 150 miles and hope she doesn't have the baby in the ambulance. And I'm like watching all these moving parts of these little hospitals and dealing with a population that's got a lot of challenges that, it's really hard. It's hard to deal with and see, what happened to the Native American population and how they suffer and how they continue to suffer. But at the same time, I loved it. Absolutely loved it.
And so you came back here?
I came back here and I was like, well, now I'm certified to be an EMT. I can either ride on an ambulance or I can work in an ER. And so, well, I loved working in an ER, and I really don't like the idea of sitting in an ambulance. I don't like to sit a lot. So I was fortunate enough to get a job at Our Lady of the Lake in the ER. And I'll be going there after this, which is why I have scrubs on. And I love it. I get the same personal touch with people that I got at the restaurant. Hospital's the core of hospitality, right? It's the same thing. I mean, that's what I can provide. I don't provide medicine. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a nurse. There's a lot of things I can't do, but there are things I can do, and there are ways I can communicate with the patient to make their experience better than just the run-of-the-mill experience. And so that I try to use all my restaurant skills in the ER with staff and with patients, because it's stressful.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's so much going on that you can't imagine every day. And we're so fortunate to have Our Lady of the Lake in this community. Going out to Wyoming and imagining that you've crashed on your motorcycle or whatever, and they're going to have to fly you to Salt Lake. You know what the odds of surviving for that amount of time? It's slim. Here,
our friends at OLOL will be happy to hear you say that.
Well, I mean, but it's like a real, it's real. It's an amazing place with amazing stuff going on. So I feel fortunate to have transferred my restaurant experience into hospitality at a hospital, an actual hospital.
Well, what's next for you? I know you're out there with Carl Lucart and all those guys. I know you walked 18 miles a couple of hot Saturdays ago. So where are you going with that? Or what's next for you? Are you just going to ride this one out in the ER? Or is there another reinvention of Gene Todaro?
For now, I'm focused on the ER. I love the work. I love the variation of the population that we touch there. We see everybody from every walk of life. I'll see where that leads. If it leads somewhere, great. I'm on the path. I'll see. But from an outdoors experience, I would love to go on one of those long hikes like the Pacific Crest Trail or Appalachian Trail.
How long does that take?
Well, on the Pacific Crest Trail, if you just start to finish, is 5 straight months.
Yeah, it was months.
But it's probably best to do a piece at a time. But I'm a bit of an extremist, so we'll see.
Well, I really appreciate everything, Gene. It has been quite a reinvention and journey for you, and so we'll continue to follow you.
Thanks for having me.
Sure. And as I tell you, I always end things with, what I call a running short, a lesson I've learned from running, and there's been a bunch of them. And this one's kind of a fun story. When I was competing pretty heavily back in the mid-'80s, I went to a race in Kentucky. Wendy's 10K. It was a big race on the circuit, and I wasn't an invited runner, and I wasn't paid to go, and so there weren't a whole lot of expectations. But this was one of my breakthrough runs, and I actually ended up winning the race, just totally unexpected.
Wow.
So it was the first time I'd been, on the cover of a magazine. So the story really evolves into the next year. I went back and, a little more accomplished, a little bit more expectations since I'd won it the next year, the previous year. And we're running maybe about 4 miles out, and I'm thinking, well, I'm in contention to defend my title. I've done it before, and I get tangled up in people's feet in front of me, and I go diving into the ditch, and so I'm deeply disappointed, But I pick up, get back on the road, brush off some brush burns, and I finished the race. And I think I still finished in the top 10, and the thing is, the lesson I took from that is, number one, with winning that race that first time, it showed me I could do things that people didn't really expect me to be able to do in running in life. And, in the fall, as disappointing as it was, it's another one of those moments when you realize you can't control all the tangles and falls in life. It's just how you get up and dust yourself off and finish the race. So,
wow.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
All right. See ya.